Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. At the July 2nd coronavirus press conference, Mayor John Hamilton talked about the results of a survey sent out to city employees about the COVID-19 vaccine. He revealed that most employees surveyed said they would not be willing to get the vaccine at all.
The number one reason we got was too many unknowns about the vaccine, just too many uncertainties as the first reason. The second most popular was including referencing particularly long-term effects of the vaccine. And third, even some said they viewed the vaccine as riskier than getting COVID in terms of risk to themselves. We asked those who, again, had not gotten vaccinated or didn't report that they had gotten vaccinated, what could convince you to get vaccinated? More than half said nothing. Nothing will convince me to get vaccinated, which is frustrating. But about a third almost said more information about safety of the vaccine.
Hamilton encouraged unvaccinated Hoosiers to seek out information on the safety of the vaccines. Monroe County Health Administrator Penny Cottle echoed that statement. She said residents who choose not to get the vaccine put those who are still ineligible to receive it at a greater risk.
Where my concern is with that 45% who are eligible for vaccinations and unvaccinated, and those who are not yet eligible for vaccination. And so we have a large portion of our community who is susceptible to this infection. Those individuals are still shopping in our community. They're going out to eat. They're going to events. They're going on about business as usual. Some are taking the precautions that they need to be taking. They're wearing masks, they're distancing. Some are not. And that is where our risk to our community comes in.
Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, Kirk White, reiterated that coronavirus press conferences will now be held every other week. The next COVID-19 press conference will be on July 16th. The Bloomington Utilities Service Board discussed resolutions regarding Monroe County wastewater plants at their July 6th meeting. Capital Projects Manager Daniel Hudson presented multiple resolutions that would improve Monroe County's chemical feed system. Board member Jeff Emmon asked about the relationship between an amendment to the Monroe Water Treatment Plant chemical feed system and a resolution to award the contract for the improvements to that system. Hudson clarified that one funds the design while the other funds the engineering.
Wessler was the designer on the project for the Monroe facility, and now this is the continuation of that for the construction phase. Their contract only included the design phase of the project. This would do construction, so they would look at catalog cuts, approve catalog cuts, and then also do construction administration work to see if it's on schedule and to answer questions.
Board member Amanda Burnham wondered if the city would accept bids on the construction contract to save money. Utilities Director Vic Kelson responded that it made the most sense for the designers to oversee construction of the project.
This is what we did at Dillman with the large project at Dillman. The same engineers that designed the project are doing construction oversight on that project as well. They know the project better than anyone else we could hire.
Board members approved each resolution unanimously. The Bloomington Redevelopment Commission discussed the future retreat at Switchyard Apartment Building at their July 6th meeting. City Attorney Larry Allen requested the Redevelopment Commission give Real America companies permission to apply for building permits. He said the Redevelopment Commission owns the land and Real America needs permission from the landowner before requesting governmental approval.
Anytime governmental approvals are sought where the landowner is separate from the petitioner for those approvals, it requires the landowner's approval. The ordinary course of business. What we'd be asking for here is a motion to give permission for Real America to apply for those permits and governmental approvals required for the redevelopment of the property in accordance with the mixed income and mixed use housing development that they've proposed.
Vice President of Development at Real America, Jeff Ryan, clarified the affidavit would only let them apply for permits. He said this was for basic building approvals, not for grants.
The affidavit that we're asking for is just to apply for permits and for the Plan Commission. We're not applying for grants right now. This is for local approval of the building design, the site plan. That's the step we're at right now.
The Redevelopment Commission approved the request 5-0. At its July 7th meeting, the Monroe County Board of Zoning Appeals discussed variances to an area in Perry Township. County Planner Drew Myers presented 2 slope variances and a front yard variance for property in the 3300 block of South Spring Branch Road. He said the city recommended approval of the front yard setback but denial of the slope variances. Myers stated the petitioners could avoid the slope variances by readdressing the home's design.
Staff recommends denial of the buildable area variance from Chapter 804 and the Eco Area 3 variance from Chapter 825, in that there are no practical difficulties. Specifically, the slope issues can be more effectively addressed through the redesign of the development, building, or structure. Planning staff had communicated to the owner that if they were to build up and not out more, that they would also help reduce the disturbance to the area and those slopes, and that it's just very difficult for a structure in this area based on those steep slopes and being in the Eco Area 3, which is the Lake Monroe watershed.
Resident Peter Chadwick showed concern that the lot for the home was only 1.4 acres. He said the other neighborhood homes were built on at least 2 acres of land.
I'm on 2.14 acres. And almost all our houses in this neighborhood are on plus 2 acres, some even more than that. And I think that's a lot of house to put on a small plot.
Board member Margaret Clements questioned why the petitioner did not have to obtain a lot size variance. Myers clarified that the petitioner did not have to abide by certain zoning restrictions because the lot was recorded before the zoning ordinance was established. Board member Skip Daly asked Myers if the residents' objections were relevant to the board's decision.
We're not deciding anything about the 2-acre concern of the neighbors, then. That's not relevant to our decision today, correct?
Oh, it's relevant in the sense that the neighbors have voiced their concern, but from a zoning ordinance perspective, that does not apply here because of the Chapter 833 doesn't require a minimum lot size for this particular zone.
Clements moved to deny the front yard setback variance due to remonstrances by neighborhood residents. Board members voted to deny the variance 3-1, with board member Skip Daly voting no. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to CATSweek. HealthNet Bloomington Project Director Nancy Richmond gave an update on the HealthNet Bloomington Health Center at the July 7th Monroe County Commissioners meeting. She said the health center has seen nearly as many patients in the first 6 months of 2021 as it did in its first year of operation.
Last year was just obviously an unusually ridiculous year to build a new practice. Nevertheless, we had over 1,400 unique patients that came to the center, which is more than Volunteers in Medicine would have in a typical year. So you have a report that has a lot of demographic data from last year. Normally I don't include that in the annual report, but I thought you might be interested in what the first year looked like for us. Interestingly, in the first 6 months of this year, we already have seen almost 1,200 people. So we are almost halfway through the year. I mean, we're halfway through the year and have almost seen the full amount of people we saw last year for the entire year.
Richmond said the biggest difference between HealthNet and Volunteers in Medicine of Monroe County, the nonprofit that she used to run, is that HealthNet is not a free clinic. She said this lets them continue to treat low-income residents as well as residents experiencing homelessness.
Right now, in the first 6 months of this year, 60% of our population is insured, 46% with Medicaid. That means we're saying a low-income population primarily, which is what FQHCs were designed to do. They're the safety net medical system across the country. And people experiencing homelessness, which was the VIM population, except then when they started getting insured, we couldn't see them any longer, which is very frustrating for us because seeing people living in poverty, experiencing homelessness is essentially the specialty area of VIM and HealthNet.
Richmond added that the HealthNet Bloomington has a grant to help with travel. She said residents who need help traveling to the clinic can contact the clinic for more information. The next county commissioners meeting is July 14th. The Bloomington Board of Public Works discussed multiple lane closures at its July 7th meeting. Planning technician Mike Stewart presented a request for lane closures on 4 Bloomington roads to let the petitioner lay fiber lines for AT&T. He said the work on South Sayre Road would be the most impactful. Stewart listed 2 other closures that would be minor and a 4th closure on North Kinser Pike for aerial work.
Really, there is only one closure part of all of these projects that's going to have a very high impact. That is on the Sayre Road. We're anticipating that that's going to last approximately 11 days. This is Lineal Contracting doing fiber installation for AT&T. And that's going to be the one that will have the highest impact. But since we were already coming to this session, we also wanted to kind of bring forth to the board that they will also be on North Kinser Pike doing aerial work. And part of that project as well is going to be going down West Rosewood Drive, which was recently paved. So also just kind of acknowledging that if they do any potholes or anything like that to spot for water mains when they cross the road, they're going to have to mill and pave. Even if it's a 6-inch by 6-inch, they're going to have to mill and pave 20 feet in all directions to get that road back to, its initial glory. They're also going to be on South High Street and East Hillside. Those are going to be a day or two and shouldn't be anything that's very high impact.
Board member Beth Hollingsworth asked about exclusivity around the fiber lanes. She asked petitioner Brian Busick if other companies would be able to lay fiber once the lanes are built.
Did AT&T bid for these lanes, or can other, like Smithville, can they also put fiber optic lanes in the same areas? It's going to be more than just AT&T in there?
That would be depending on the right-of-way easement. They should have access to it if they want to do something through there.
Board members approved the closures 2-0. At the July 8th meeting of the Ellettsville Plan Commission, Lynn Coyne presented a plan to rezone part of 3888 West State Road 46 from Commercial 3 zone to a planned unit development on behalf of the petitioner. He said the Ridge Group decided to request a rezone so the plan would go before the residents of Ellettsville. Coyne clarified that they could already build apartments by right in a C3 zone if they were above a business.
The decision was made to bring it forth as a PUD and let you see it, let you do what you're doing. Let the neighbors see it. Because if we were to build 3 stories and have, pick something, a convenience store and 2 floors of apartments above it, we would not be here. Correct, Kevin? We wouldn't be here. That's permitted in a C3 zone. That is essential that everybody understand that concept.
Commissioner Pat Wesolowski showed concern about the amount of traffic generated. He suggested the peak hour numbers were misleading. Coyne said that by not requiring commercial space, the Ridge Group was significantly reducing traffic.
So by taking the commercial out, which requires your permission, we have dropped traffic 70%.
Resident Nick Brell said he appreciated that the apartments would not be over businesses. He noted traffic will already be increasing due to 3 other proposed businesses in the area.
I agree that commercial properties underneath apartments is not going to, all apartments is better than commercial underneath apartments. I think we're also not paying attention to the fact that there still are 3 commercial properties that have been zoned under Mr. Blackwell's proposal. So there is already going to be a considerable commercial traffic through Kemp Road.
Commissioner Wesolowski moved to send the plan back to the Ellettsville Town Council with no recommendation. Commissioners approved the motion 5-2, with Commissioners Terry Baker and Dan Swafford objecting. And we'll have more CATSweek after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying. I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me. But with Girls Inc. in my corner, there for me every day, believing in me,
showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body. To say I can rather than I can't.
to say no with no apology,
To be a leader. To finish school.
to own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner, I will not be another statistic. I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to CATSweek. The Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission discussed plans to reuse the Johnson's Creamery building at its July 8th meeting. Director of Development at Peerless Development, Joe Patrick, presented plans to redevelop sections of the Johnson's Creamery building in downtown Bloomington. He said that they would be working on sections added to the main building, which he says have not aged well.
What we are proposing and what we'd like to kind of present to you guys today is this area that's highlighted in red is an area that was not part of the original structure of the building and is the result of subsequent additions over the years to the building. And unfortunately, the character of that portion of the building is certainly not up to the standards of the original Creamery building, and has not fared as well over the years as a result of that.
Patrick said parts of the facade that face the B line were not very pedestrian friendly. He said tearing down and rebuilding this part of the Creamery building would improve that experience. Commissioner Sam DeSoler agreed that some parts of the building should come down, but that parts of the facade facing the B line were indicative of the building's history.
I might disagree with you a little bit about the extent of the building you're wanting to tear down. There are parts of that facade that I actually find really attractive. I mean, the second story additions, I'm totally with you, but some of the rest of it is actually kind of charming and really recalls the history of the building. The accretional nature of it is, it's good and bad, and you get good and bad additions. And there's some stuff that you want to get rid of, like, hooray, you're getting rid of the little comm shed in the back. But some of it is, it might have some charm.
Commissioner Duncan Campbell showed concern about removing 1/3 of a historically preserved site. He said tearing down the boiler room of the Creamery and replacing it with a business is a betrayal of its historical status.
But frankly, the reason these buildings are preserved is to prevent them from being changed. And so you're in my book, you're really asking a lot. And in terms of activating the area has been well activated by the market and the formation of City Hall and the mill and all the rest of it. We don't need another coffee shop. We need to have a way to remember who we are. And you're basically wanting us to fulfill your vision, and you're not even part of our community.
The next scheduled meeting of the Bloomington Historic Preservation Commission is July 22nd. The Monroe County Solid Waste Management District Board of Directors discussed updates to the Solid Waste Management Plan at its July 8th meeting. Board member Isabel Piedmont Smith discussed changes she made to language in the mission plan. She was surprised that the statement she had edited was the Solid Waste Management District's mission statement verbatim.
I didn't realize that the mission statement was just verbatim what is our mission statement. So it becomes a bigger question of, do we want to revise our mission statement?
Board member Cheryl Munson identified the importance of involving the Citizens Advisory Committee in the revision of the plan. She added that the deadline for community members to submit comments on the plan is July 29th. The plan will be further discussed at the Solid Waste Management District Executive Committee meeting on August 2nd. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.